Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In this video, I'm going to talk and walk you through around what are the different options and capabilities for storage backup and infrastructure automation for the same capabilities and capacities, right? Now, until and since we are seeing that the cloud is being used for many scenarios, many different requirements, and the same has a lot to offer as well, right? Now, the question would be, and the question is around, and many companies are still adopting for the cloud backup and storage capacities, and that is going to become a kind of a mandatory in a situations, and many companies and businesses are still relying on it, right? And that is why the backup, storage, and automation around it is also very important at the same time, right? So I'm going to walk you through it. What are the different scenarios or use cases and different strategies that can also help us to adopt and make sure we are deploying, implementing, and using it appropriately. So let's go ahead and let me share my screen and I'll walk you through the same so that you can understand it better way. And that's going to be the key learning for you as well to apply and deploy that across. So what is it? So it's going to be building a strong foundation for storage backup and infrastructure automations, right? So it includes between on-premises and cloud as well as within the specific key areas or key locations. For example, if we wanted to go with the on-premises, we would only go for that. And if it is only cloud, then the cloud environment itself, right? So let's look at the topics that I'm going to walk you through and cover, right? So starting from importance of storage and backup, foundation together, infrastructure automations, strategies on or for on-premises versus cloud, right? Because whenever or when it comes to storing data and managing it effectively, that becomes very heavy, and that is also going to be cost, or that should not be a very much costly and should be a cost effective, be it a cloud or on-premises. We'll look around approaches and scenarios, best practices and tools, along with the real world examples and a future outlook, right? So what it's going to be and how it is going to be, right? So let's start from the first, right? So why storage and backup is important, right? We all know many companies are using, and not only for the companies, but for everyone, even in our personal lives, we are still relying on different devices. And until and unless we had smartphones, that's the one of the example I'm putting here. But we are putting a lot of data which is created, consumed, and utilized in our personal life, right? And that data is stored somewhere. Even if in case we are not producing or we are not purchasing any additional storage or backup capacities, but still we are storing that data somewhere, right? And that is why storage and backup is very important in any situations to store that data, and that is going to be utilized for future. And now in the era of AI, we need a data to get the business outcomes as well as insights, and basis on that business can decide for the future and forecasting and projections and everything together, right? So even that needs a lot of data too, right? So starting with data is a backbone for modern and enterprises or organizations. In short, backup is going to ensure resiliency and disaster recovery when there are situations when there is a attack or maybe a bad actor has run into the environment, into the business case, even if it is happening or happened in the personal life as well, right? Because if the personal phone is hacked or tracked, then definitely that's going to be something that our data is going to get into the bad actor's hand, right? And they can do anything that way. The strong foundation where we will put preventing a data loss as well as downtime of those systems in the corporate and modern enterprises scenarios, and security measures for data integrity and compliance, right? So this applies to personal life as well as organizations and businesses across, right? So importance of storing data appropriately, backing it up correctly, and making sure that is available, and data integrity and compliance is also important at the same time. The infrastructure automation. So that is something majorly into the business world or the corporate world. We do have a lot of systems and businesses where we do reduce manual efforts, and then we focus and start adopting the automation capabilities, right? By utilizing third party tools or solutions or whatever is available, be it any environment on premises or into the cloud, right? But to do that, definitely we should have different things, including key tools, which includes Terraform, Ansible, PowerShell. I have mentioned few here: Azure DevOps, AWS CloudFormation, right? Similarly, we would also utilize different tools which helps us. And in the AI era, we would have a lot of many things. Those are available for us to do the automations, not in only on the backup and storage capacity, but across the IT or across the business systems, right? So that way, that's going to also help in that scenarios. Let's talk about some of the strategies on premises and cloud, right? So we do have, and we've seen there are different capacities and capabilities that we can utilize for storage and backup, including SAN, NAS, and local backup systems, along with the virtualization and hyper-converged infrastructure, right? Which is also called as HCI, right? So these are the environments where we do have a lot of dependency by creating a lot of in-house workloads, in-house servers, in-house data centers, and everything together. And we are storing, processing, creating, updating, and discarding data sets, right? Because that is something which is created over the time or over the period when the business is completely doing the different activities or completely relying on data, right? Now it could be business data or any data that is being produced. Similarly, on the other side of that is going to be the cloud, right? In the cloud, we have different storages or storage types, including object storage, managed backup, and snapshots, multi-region replication for disaster recovery, right? Now, if we have to plan it way or from the different way of management of these capacities, storage and backups, and then we wanted to also make sure it is going to provide us effective ways of managing cost, managing governance, managing compliance, managing security, right? And at the same time, the data should also be accessible, right? To do that, definitely there are a lot many things to do, and kind of shared responsibility between the customers and the cloud service provider, right? So every service or every capability that is available there in the cloud, that is not completely responsible or completely responsibility by the cloud service provider. Instead, there is a shared responsibility between both of those, right? And that is something we need to understand and take the appropriate approach to go ahead and deploy and manage and use it, right? So that way, that's not left behind and saying that, okay, this is your responsibility, this should be done from your side. Instead, we should understand what is our responsibility too and take the steps ahead. So these are the strategies I mentioned here, but definitely there are more than these, right? And when it comes to the different system integrations, there are different systems and capabilities those are available that we can utilize and integrate with. And definitely it comes with, again, shared responsibility and make sure we are managing appropriately. And the more important of this is taking of the ownership of the data wherever that data is going to reside, right? So even if we are using third party systems, the data which we are going to produce and create and update, delete, and whatever the operations we are going to, those should also be responsible for the respective data sets, right? And basis on that, we can take it ahead. The next is approaches and scenarios, right? So what are the approaches? What are the scenarios where we can completely rely on? And if there are any other ways that we should also be looking into so that we can take the right set of approaches and where we can implement it, right? So starting with hybrid cloud, where we can go with in combination of on-premises and cloud, and that's going to be completely okay and fine to do and many certain requirements. For example, the organization or the business, they are completely following a particular country regulations. They have to follow security compliance and regulations to map and match with the business goal as well, right? And they cannot fully rely on to public clouds or public providers available there, right? Similarly, on the cloud native solutions, those are the public cloud platforms where we can produce, process, and put together and can be utilized. And the multi-cloud where resilience across providers, across cloud service providers, across different systems, integrators, and everything, including automated DR failover, which can help us to quickly recover data and everything together. And compliance driven, where data sovereignty and encryption is also being pushed together and available. So, in short, everything is available basis on the needs, and as per requirement we can completely go ahead and rely on it and utilize it too. There are some of the best practices and tools that I put together, including following by 3-2-1 backup rules, right? Now the same rules cannot be the same or applicable for each and every industry and every organization, right? Because this is something depending on the classification of data, what type of data it is, how organization is trying and putting that data together to utilize for internal business purpose. They wanted to do the different innovation activities. They wanted to run analytics on it so that they can get the insights and they can decide what would be our future outlook for that particular business or that particular maybe product or services that they are offering, right? So basis on that, this backup rule can be different and can be deployed across accordingly, right? So that is the rule, and that may not be fit for everyone or for every situations or every needs basically. The second is infrastructure as code, which is going to be, of course, the way of doing things manually. We are doing it using the code and looking and taking appropriate or automation approach, right, to do everything. Regular testing of backups and disaster recovery drills, which is going to help us to check and look into the pitfalls if there are any, and we should keep improving on that area. In case something goes wrong, we should be able to desi- do the recovery as soon as possible so that business operations are up and running and we really don't have to stay back and struggle and find solutions for the same. The next is using monitoring tools and observability tools so that we get to see what is happening across the operations, if those are running appropriately, if those are doing right set of backup solutions or be it managing storage and everything, so that we know what is being expected, what is not, and how we can go ahead and make sure that is going to work as expected. The next is secure data at rest and in transit. That means we wanted to keep the data encrypted during and at rest, right? So whenever data is moving from one to another and wherever the data is stored, right? Even if it is in the storage, that data should be encrypted and we wanted to make sure that is safe and secure. So these are the best practices and some of the tools that we can leverage for automation and following the backup rules and how we should go ahead and do the backup and DR drills as well. There are some of the real world examples I put together. These are the high level examples that you can see, and those would definitely be different for each organization and each requirements completely. For example, you can see the bank or the financial institution, they do have multi-site DR for financial compliance to meet, and they would definitely follow all of those capabilities and all of those things for the respective financial compliance areas. Similarly, on the healthcare side, they do have to secure the backup and secure the data, and also they have to compliant with HIPAA regulations, right? And that is why they need to make sure everything is going to be safe. Similarly, for retail business and for the SaaS businesses as well, whatever they are going to scale, they need to make sure their data and systems are also be available for the businesses whenever the business is going to expand, and they need to make sure those systems are highly available. And on the SaaS based solutions, they are going to automate pipelines with the backup integrations, and the systems are not going to crash or systems are going to be highly available whenever they need, in short. And this is a short but very important of the backup storage and automation around it with the future outlook. So what is it going to be and how it can be taken look at and approached further, right? So the first starts from the AI driven predictive backup and storage optimization, which is also going to help into the storage backup management and cost management or cost effectiveness as well, including the respective regulations and everything together. Serverless infrastructure automation, zero trust data security in backup and storage, right? And increase adoption of multi-cloud DR strategies as well. So these are the future outlooks or future steps or can be taken as and when needed. But definitely these are those areas where we would go ahead and rely completely or some of the other scenarios, but definitely these going to help and make the lot of difference in these different strategies that we have come across and seen so far, right? So that is what I wanted to walk you through and talk you about backup storage and building a strong foundation around the storing and backing up and managing that data, right? So that's all for this one. Hope you learned something new. Let me know if you have any questions, any doubts, anything that you wanted to cover, maybe ask any questions and get the answers around it so that I can collaborate and help you on that. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel as well so that you get to see every new video whenever it is uploaded. So, yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching and bye for now.